5. And it was on Monday, the second to last day of 2024, that we witnessed certainly some good football, both college and pro. And we didn't expect it might be a good game, a meaningless game on Monday night down in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium between the San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions. But it turned out to really be a dandy. And, of course, speaking of dandy, Dan Campbell, a dandy indeed. You got to love this guy. He didn't need to play his starters. This game was relatively meaningless. It didn't mean positioning as far as seeding. That game, of course, will come this Sunday night. The final game of the 2024 regular season in the NFL will be a biggie. The Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings at Ford Field in Detroit, and that will be for the number 1 seed in the NFC. The 49ers have been eliminated from the playoffs, so the game meant nothing to them, but the Detroit Lions come away with a victory and a cover, 40-34, your final. This was really a back-and-forth affair. Maybe that defense, something to be concerned about for the Detroit Lions going forward. Of course, a lot of injuries on that defense. This was once the most powerful team in the NFL, but they have been hampered by injuries as of late. We'll see if they can make that patchwork necessary that they need to improve before that meeting with the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday night. But a great game, certainly at Levi Stadium. The game sails over the total. Again, 40-34, your final. The Lions cover as 3.5, even as high as 4.5 point favorites prior to kick. And after the game, they asked Coach Campbell about the decision that he had to make about resting the starters or going for broke here and playing everybody as per normal. And, Dan Campbell is that aggressive guy, but he said he had to mull over this decision for a while heading in.
I thought a lot about it. I thought about it leading up to the game. I thought about it last night. I told the staff. But I ended up settling on the right thing to do was play these guys. And because we owed it to the team, and it was just one of those positions we were in. It's just hard to say who you're going to sit, and it's not fair to ask guys to play that haven't been prepared to play, So yeah, that was tough, and I think the biggest thing is there was things we wanted to do better than we did last week, and we did. We cleaned a lot of things up offensively. I thought defensively we talked about getting takeaways. We got takeaways, and so that'll always serve you well going into the next week. And look, there was never going to be anything, we knew what this is. You're out on the West Coast, you go, man, it's all good. That's what we do. You know what I mean? This is what we do. Like, we love it hard. And this is our deal right now. So we're looking forward to this, everything about this week.
This is what we do, and we love it hard. Dan Campbell, you got to love them. They win, and they will take on, again, the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday. The final game of the 2024 regular season will be for all the marbles in the NFC. Minnesota, really a surprise team this year, and, hats off to them no matter what happens on Sunday. An incredible season for their coach, Kevin O'Connell and company, and equally so for Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. Kyle Shanahan on the losing end, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. I mentioned that they have been eliminated from the playoffs for a couple of weeks now. So how does he prepare his team? And it's the Monday night spotlight. We understand that. But Kyle said, we treat it as any other contest.
Try to approach it the same way we approach every game. Try our hardest to win and try to play our best. I thought the guys played real hard. I thought they competed. I thought every chance to beat a real good football team there. Obviously, not everything was perfect. I thought, we weren't able to slow them down enough on defense. It's a real good offense, but still thought we should slow them down a little bit more. Thought the difference in the game, though, was, obviously the type of game it was. They've been in a number of those games this year, but we had to win it in a shootout, and I thought the difference was our two turnovers and getting none. Once that happened, that's why you end up losing by one score.
Shanahan was also asked about his struggling place kicker, Jake Moody, who missed 2 field goals on Monday night and an extra point. I believe it was 10 out of his last 17 field goals have been made. And I don't think that counted the last one. I heard that during the broadcast. I believe it was Joe Buck mentioned that. So a real struggle for a guy that was a third-round pick out of Michigan, who they had high hopes for. He was asked if they will be evaluating the kicker position in the offseason. He said, yes, we're evaluating all positions, but it'll be interesting to see if Jake Moody is a San Francisco 49er going forward. There was some, insult to injury, if you will, for the San Francisco 49ers, for their star quarterback, Brock Purdy. Of course, he had surgery in the offseason on that elbow, on the throwing arm, and suffered a bit of a nick to that same arm with a sack towards the end of the game on Monday night. And Purdy talked about that, said, he's not really sure if it's anything serious or not, but not feeling so great after re-injuring possibly this arm again on Monday against the Lions.
Indication about the status of your elbow?
Nothing right now. We're going to get an MRI tomorrow and see. So.
Is it a concern to you at this point?
It doesn't feel the best, but just leave it at that. So we'll see tomorrow.
Can you describe what happened?
On that sack, I got hit on the backside, and basically just my arm was on fire kind of thing. And so I tried throwing a couple on the sideline, and I couldn't at that point. So, it has nothing to do with tapping out of a game or anything like that. I love my teammates, and I'll go to the very end for them and this fan base and everybody. So that's what hurts me is like I couldn't finish the game. But again, we'll see tomorrow.
Speculation now looms if Purdy will start the final game of the season here in Week 18. Of course, he has a big contract to negotiate in the offseason. We'll see if he gets that top quarterback money. That's really a decision the San Francisco 49ers have to make going forward with their quarterback. The final player drafted in the draft a few years back, Brock Purdy. Amazing where his career has come. Now decision time for San Francisco if they're going to pay him the big-time bucks. Other news in the NFL, the New York Jets looking for their next coach. Of course, Jeff Ulbrich, a former San Francisco 49er, an interim coach there filling in for Robert Saleh. And now they look to make a permanent move here. And both Ron Rivera and apparently Rex Ryan are candidates. Of course, Ryan coached the Jets formerly, and Ron Rivera, his latest stint with the Washington Commanders. So two names out there currently apparently interviewing or being considered by the New York Jets to be their new head coach in 2025. Not good news for these athletes and their homes being burglarized. Apparently, this is becoming more of a thing. We heard about it with Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs duo. Apparently, their homes have been burglarized as well. And now the latest, moving over into the NBA, Luka Doncic home was burglarized recently here. Dallas police reporting that. So tough news there. The FBI now getting involved. Apparently some organized crimes possibly out of South America getting involved in this thing. And they warn these spouses, girlfriends, what have you, of these athletes while they're playing their games not to go on social media and tell your friends that the home is not occupied. But we will see where that goes going forward. Also, some college football news. Missouri beat Iowa in the Music City Bowl on Monday, 27-24. Missouri covered as a 1.5-point favorite, and that game sailed over the total of 41.5. The Tigers finished the season at 10-3, and the Iowa Hawkeyes finished the season at 8-5.